Uhuru! All right, y'all, Uhuru, everybody, welcome to the Sunday rally. My name is Akwaaba Hall, and I'm the local president of the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement. Yes. Right here in St. Petersburg, Florida, and we have a dynamic and exciting rally for y'all today, as well as we have just a bunch of events going on this whole entire week, and we also are going to do some filming at the end of this. So today we'll be talking about how housing is a human right, especially to the seniors and disabled people of our community. So with that being said, before we go into any of that, everyone please join and stand and join me in reciting the African Pledge. Uhuru. I pledge allegiance to my African people. I pledge to develop my mind and body to the greatest extent possible. I will learn all that I can in order to give my best to my people in our struggle for liberation through revolution. I will keep myself physically fit, building a strong body free from drugs and other substances which weaken me and make me less capable of defending myself, my family, and my African brothers and sisters. I will unselfishly share my knowledge and understanding with others in order to bring about change more quickly. I will discipline myself to direct my energies thoughtfully and constructively rather than wasting time in idle hatred. I will train myself never to hurt or allow others to harm my African brothers and sisters, for I recognize that we need every African man, woman, and child to be physically, mentally, and psychologically strong. These principles I pledge to practice daily and to teach them to others in order to unite my people in our struggle for freedom and independence. Uhuru. Uhuru. All right, so to get started, we have a few videos for y'all. First and foremost, we have a video of the candidates speaking on homeless and disabled rights. So we're gonna show that right on the screen, and I'm gonna get out y'all's way. Uhuru.
I want to say a couple more things before I close out, and it's that the Uhuru movement is opposed to all forms of oppression, but there is no social justice for any oppressed person within a system that requires oppression. So that means that oppressed white sectors of the white population can't have social justice ever in a system where oppression is required, and you can't have it off the back on the pedestal of the oppression of African people, that you can't have one without the other, that your social justice comes when the revolution of African people, comes when the social justice of African people, comes when the liberation of African people. That is the only way that white women, white disabled, white trans, white homosexuals can see any kind of social justice if you are fighting to overturn a social system that created the contradictions in the first place. That is the only way.
We are uncompromisingly opposed to any criminalization of the homeless population or of homelessness. And housing is a human right. And the city has no authority or no right to deny anybody a place to sleep. And we also believe that this is not a matter of charity from the city, that the homeless population has the right to have self-determination and power and leadership over solving these problems and over resolving these contradictions that exist in our city. And in fact, there was a building where people were sleeping, and under Baker, that building was bought up and all of the people were forced out of that building into homelessness. So those people moved into the tent park, and then Baker sent in the St. Petersburg police to slash the tents. And people here remember that.
Yeah, I remember that.
And we will never, ever forget that. And we will never let Baker forget that.
All right, Uhuru. All right, so following that, we will be having Johan Benningfield on disability rights. Everyone, please welcome Johan to the front. Uhuru. One second.
My name is Johan Benningfield, and I'm a
a member of USM, also part of this very important campaign to elect Jesse Nevel for mayor and Eritha is carrying Cainion to 6th district. And, I've been speaking on the question of disability rights. And if we say that we're for disability justice, we must go beyond supporting disability justice and affordable housing for people with disabilities. We must demand reparations and justice for the Black community. We must support a policy of Black community control of housing, schools, and the police. We must end the policy of white gentrification of African communities and demand a policy of economic development in hands of African people. It's gentrification that removes African people from the homes, including seniors and disabled people. It's gentrification that allows white people to live at the expense of the African community. It's gentrification that leads to the murder of African people by the police, including African children, such as the 2012 Black teenage daughters Dominique Brown, Cynthia Butler, and Lionel Miller. In the recent murder of 20 Black boys this morning by the Pinellas County Sheriff Department. If we truly want affordable housing for disabled and seniors, then we would support reparations to the Black community. Reparation is the basis of true unity in the city of St. Pete. Reparation will uplift the entire population in the state. Black community control of housing will lower the cost of living, including disabled, seniors, and working people in general. The campaigns to elect Eritha and Cainion for District 6 and Jesse Nevel for mayor are the only campaigns that have reparations that is center of their campaign, their platform. They are the only candidates that demand the end of gentrification and the Black community control of the police. This is why I'm voting for Eritha, Cainion, and Jesse Nevel. I call on everyone who supports affordable housing for the disabled and seniors to vote for these candidates. Join this powerful people's movement and donate.
Radical times! Radical times! Unity through! Uhuru. Everyone please give another round of applause for Comrade Johan. Uhuru. And now everyone join me in welcoming, everyone please join me in welcoming our next District 6 City Councilwoman, Eritha Akilé Cainion. Uhuru. Radical solutions! Uhuru. As always, I would first like to extend my appreciation to the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement for these weekly rallies and allowing us as candidates to be able to stand before the people. And as stated, my name is Eritha Akilé Cainion, and if you've been a part of this movement, and even if you've been watching this movement, you know, come August 29th, and even after that in November after the general, with this people's movement, I will be your next District 6 City Councilwoman. So, you know, the question of
homelessness, of disabled, of elders, and the attack on this sector of the population. I first want to say that this morning, the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department, a year after murdering 3 teenage Black girls, Dominique Battle, Lanaya Miller, and Ashanti Butler, this morning the Sheriff's Department was responsible for the murder of yet another 3 teenage Black boys, 14 and 16 years old. And before we even knew that they were Black, you didn't have to know, because Gualtieri, the Sheriff's Department, the Tampa Bay Times were putting their criminal records out for everybody to see. They were already spinning the narrative so that you had no compassion for 3 teenage Black children losing their lives at the hands of the Sheriff's Department. They were already coming to cover their behinds to make sure that they could not be held responsible for these murders. But it is clear to us, as we have been involved in this movement, have been involved in these electoral campaigns, that we know without a shadow of a doubt, no matter what they throw at us, no matter, all the things they throw at us and try to say to criminalize those that who are dead, who cannot speak for themselves, we know better. We know the Sheriff's Department. We know Bob Gualtieri. We know Deputy Howard Skaggs. We know the filth and the rot that is corrupting the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department. So we don't need any facts. We know what happened this morning was murder of those 3 children. And we can say this without a shadow of a doubt, because we know the core of a social system. Anybody would lie to you to tell you, and we know better, that this social system rests on an economic foundation of the enslavement of African people and the genocide of the indigenous people and the maintaining of the system by colonizing and oppressing the masses of people around the world. Resources to maintain this U.S. imperialist system. This is the core of a social system. So that's why we can say confidently that no matter what these children have done, it was murder on behalf of the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department. You can't have justice in a system that is founded on the enslavement and genocide. You cannot have justice within this system. And anybody is a liar to tell you otherwise. This is why Jesse and I are running, because we are addressing the core of the social system. We are bringing a revolution to the city of St. Pete and to this country, because we are going up against this system that requires the murders of Black teenagers, that forces people into conditions of homelessness, that oppresses elderly and disabled people. This is a system that we are going up against, because big money does not care about the people. Corrupt politicians do not care about the people. A system founded on slavery and genocide does not care about the people. We have to take down this system. We have to tear down the status quo, and that is exactly what we are doing, and that's exactly what will happen come August 29th. The oppression of homeless people, of disabled, of elderly, come as a result of the oppression of the Black community. The only way forward to end the oppression, the Uhuru movement, is a movement that's fighting for the liberation of African people and the end to all forms of oppression of all people. This is this exact movement right here, but it starts with reparations to the Black community, to acknowledge that a crime has been committed, to acknowledge that a crime has been committed against Black people in this city, African people all around the world. It is that acknowledgement, it is that principle that we can move forward and end the oppression of everybody, of all the homeless, of all the disabled, of all the trans, of all the homosexuals, of all the elderly, of all the veterans. The oppression ends with reparations to the Black community. And we're talking about power, because city government functions in the shadows. They make decisions that don't include the people. They are safe in an electoral system that is rigged against the people, that does not intend to have your voices participate. They get to have this peaceful contest between sectors of the ruling class to determine who is going to control your life, who is going to control your future. But this people's movement has disrupted that entire process. They do not get to have a quiet conversation in the shadows. They do not get to hire Rick Baker or Rick Kreisman to determine the future of the people and determine the future of the Black community. The people are taking power this election, and this is why it is so critical. Power in the hands of the people, because we have the right to determine our own futures. We have the right to Black community control of the police. We have the right to Black community control of schools. We have the right to housing and the right to feed, clothe, and house ourselves. And make no mistake about it, in order to do that, ladies and gentlemen, you need power. This is a fight for power in the hands of the people and out of the hands of corrupt, puppeted politicians. We're taking it back. City Hall belongs to the people. City Hall will be the new Akwaaba Hall, where we can come and have these discussions. So this is the movement you want to be a part of. This is the real progressive movement, because we have an optimistic vision of the future. And first, we have to shed the light. We have to rip the blanket off of this system, because nobody's interests are with the system other than the ruling class. It does not have your interests at heart. White people, your interests are not within this corrupt city government. It is in unity through reparations. And it is in unity and solidarity with the Black community. Because Black power has never oppressed white women. Black power has never oppressed white trans, homeless, disabled, or elderly. Black power has always fought to end the oppression of everyone. So you have to join this fight if you are not already a part of this people's movement. We have 3 weeks left until the primaries. The elections have already begun because mail-in ballots have been sent out. This is war, and the people will win this election. So I just wanted to say this: to get on the right side of the question and be on the right side of history and fight against this system. And that we have to have the confidence, because the status quo is trembling. They have the confidence that we can win. We have to have the confidence that we can win. They know we can win. They know we are winning. That's why they come into your yards and steal your signs, because they know we are winning. That's why they have to slander this movement and call the youth of this movement criminals and have to call us domestic terrorists, because they know we can win. We have to know we can win. We have no choice. It is our responsibility. It is our duty to win this election for the city of St. Pete and for this entire country, because the world has its eyes on St. Pete, and its hope is resting on the revolution that is brewing right here in this city. So we need you
in this last 3 weeks in the championship round to really take it to them, to really bring down the House, to drag down the status quo and put the people in power this election. My name is Eritha Akilé Cainion, running alongside Jesse Nevel for mayor. And with this people's movement, we are winning. I will be your next District 6 City Councilwoman. Thank you so much. Radical times. Radical times. Unity through. Unity through. Uhuru. With that being said, everyone just give another round of applause for Akilé. Uhuru. And everyone, please join me in welcoming the mayor that will be right alongside Akilé when both of them are elected, Jesse Nevel, the next mayor of St. Petersburg, Florida. Uhuru.
Reparations! Thank you, Hakima. And let's have yet another round of applause for Eritha Akilé Cainion, next City Councilwoman of District 6. And that was just really, really amazing, an amazing presentation from Akilé. And I really want to thank Akilé for being the voice of the people in this election and for your leadership throughout this entire process. And I want to thank the Uhuru movement. And I just want to mention that earlier today, Akilé were on this radio show, and the interviewer asked me, how do you respond to people who say that you're just a white puppet of the Uhurus? And what I said was, I don't really mind people thinking that. I'd rather be that than a puppet of the real estate developers and corporations and big money. But a puppet is a non-thinking entity, and it's very cynical, the implication that white people cannot be one, cannot consciously be one to stand in solidarity with justice and reparations for the Black community, and they're wrong. And this movement is proving that. Uhuru. The other thing I want to mention is that we woke up to this horrible, horrible news from Palm Harbor that the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department, run by serial murderer Bob Gualtieri, has struck again. And in a violent, horrific murder that chillingly mirrors the murder of 3 teenage Black girls last year by drowning. In this case, they murdered 3 teenage Black boys by fire and chased them, and actually could have murdered 6. 3 teenagers that were involved in that survived. One of them is in critical condition, and the other 2 were arrested. And they murdered 3 of them. And then, like Akilé mentioned, before we even knew that they were Black, we knew, because we weren't hearing about how they were troubled youth and they were depressed and he was a loner, or the types of things that we would hear if they were white children. We were hearing about how they were burglarizing all these homes. Without a shred of evidence, Gualtieri had pinned every burglary in Palm Harbor on 3 dead Black children. Without a shred of evidence. We started to hear about their, quote, extremely extensive criminal records. And the Tampa Bay Times wanted us to remember that they had just published a whole series called Hot Wheels, criminalizing the Black youth of Pinellas County as being the supposed scourge of a car theft epidemic that is supposed to elicit all of this fear from the general white population. So you can see how it all works together. The Sheriff's Department, the corrupt city government under Kreisman, and the media in the form of the Tampa Bay Times and Bay News 9, they all work together to carry out the mission of this social system. It's not the system going awry. That's what the system was created to do. As Akilé said, what we saw happen this morning was the rotten core of this social system. That's what it looks like. It looks like Black mothers being forced to bury their children. That is the essence of this social system. And that is the essence of a social system that naturally spits upon the homeless population, that naturally spits upon seniors, that naturally spits upon disabled people and treats them as if they are not even human beings, and forces disabled people to live in horrible isolation with no access to any kind of community, with no access even to affordable housing or public transportation. That's the logical outcome of a social system built on the oppression of African people, built on the enslavement of African people, the genocide against the indigenous people of this land, parasitic colonial oppression all over the planet Earth. That's what it looks like on the domestic front. And that's why, to cure this entire social system, you have to attack the foundation. And if the foundation of the social system is the oppression of African people, then the best way, the most effective way to attack that is through reparations to African people. That's why unity through reparations has been our platform from the very beginning. And there have been events that we've gone to where people have asked us, well, I get it, reparations, but what about this issue? What about the homeless population? What about these things? And it's not that reparations comes first and then we can talk about those things. No, we talk about those, we solve those problems through reparations to the Black community. And I can explain more specifically how in a moment. But first of all, just to touch on these two topics of homelessness and the conditions faced by the disabled population in this city. So homelessness, of course, most people are familiar with the fact that one of the other people running for mayor, Rick Baker, we call him Box Cutter Baker because when he was mayor, he ordered the St. Pete police to brandish box cutters and go into a park where homeless people were sleeping in tents and slash their tents while they were sleeping. And there was video of that, and people are still traumatized by that memory. You saw it in the video where I was speaking at Williams Park, and the man who was standing there, he remembered that. In fact, it was his wife who filmed it. People remember that. People still live with that terror of what Baker made happen under his reign. And during the first debate that we attended, that we were not invited to participate in, Baker was questioned on that decision to send in the St. Pete police. First, he pretended like he didn't know about it until after it happened. And then he said that the woman who actually made the call, that he didn't discipline her or fire her or anything. So obviously he sanctioned it. No matter what excuses he likes to make in hindsight, he sanctioned that act. And then you have, under the current mayor, Rick Kreisman, an incident that we brought up during one of the debates that was never reported in the media, but it was told to us by homeless people themselves, of this thing that's called the Saturday Morning Massacre. And what that refers to is that the weekend of the Pride Parade, Kreisman himself went to Williams Park with the St. Pete police and conducted mass arrests of homeless people on trumped up charges to clear them out of the way for the flood of tourists that were expected for the Pride Parade. The Saturday Morning Massacre. And then shortly after that, there was an incident which now the St. Pete Police Department is the target of a lawsuit because they arrested 8 homeless people in a police van, and then the police van set on fire, and the cause of the fire is still unknown. Likely it was a cigarette that one of the cops was smoking, and he threw it out into the back of the van where the homeless people were sitting. And they did not let them out for a very long amount of time. They would not let them out of this van as it was filling up with smoke, which is torture. That's what's carried out under the current administration. The other thing that has happened under Kreisman is that they have made a systematic, deliberate effort to move the homeless population of St. Petersburg into one designated geographic area in what they refer to as Uptown and Methodist Town surrounding St. Vincent de Paul's shelter. And the person who runs St. Vincent has complained about that to the city, that clearly the police are going to Williams Park, going to Silver Lake, going to Mirror Lake, and moving the homeless population over to this one area. And that has caused a lot of problems for this homeless shelter. And in response, Carl Nurse, the gentrifying parasite who is currently in the District 6 seat, responded by saying, "You're just not doing a good enough job running your shelter. They just want more money. Oh, they always use the same line. We're doing God's work. Give us more money." This is what Carl Nurse said when he was receiving complaints about what was happening in the area surrounding St. Vincent de Paul. But the fact of the matter is, the way that the administration, the way that the politicians talk about homelessness is so disgusting, because they talk about homeless people as if they are the problem, as if they are criminals, as if they are some kind of blight on the city of St. Petersburg. And what can we do? Where should we move them? As opposed to talking about it as if homelessness itself reflects upon a serious problem in the social system. The social system clearly has a problem when you have 6,000 people without a place to sleep at night in Pinellas County. When you have the Tampa Bay area at large, the highest rate of homelessness in the entire United States. And yet another condo, another high rise every time you look at the skies. And half of those high rises are empty. And yet there are thousands of people without a place to sleep. The other thing they did was they removed the bus stations from Williams Park, by the way. That was another thing that they did. The reason why they did it was because they said they wanted to make room for food trucks, okay? But they did that again because they wanted to make it less of a place where homeless people would congregate, to force homeless people into a very concentrated geographic area. So we're seeing, again, the natural outcome of a social system built on oppression, built on displacement, built on gentrification, and built on exploitation and violence against the Black community. That is the natural outcome of that social system. Now, on the topic of the disabled population, I would like to give another round of applause for my comrade, Johan Bedingfield, for his presentation earlier. And in addition to being my comrade, I had the opportunity, the honor, to be Johan's caregiver for off and on for an extended period of time. And in that process, I witnessed with my own eyes the nightmarish, horrific conditions in which the homeless population of this city are forced to live. The isolation, the total just absence of any programs, of any kind of culture that encourages any kind of, even the visible presence of the homeless population in this city. We tried to go to this place to do outreach to build that event that you saw Akilé speaking at, which was called Disability Justice Through Solidarity with Black Liberation. We went to this place that's one of the few housing units where disabled people live. And we wanted to pass out flyers and try to connect with other people there. And the person running it banned us. Like actually banned us from going there and said, we will call the cops if you ever come back, okay? But beyond that, there was an incident that happened several years ago, which a company that I'm legally obligated not to say the name of it, but let's say it rhymes with Pear Ride. So that company, that's one of the only two, transportation services for people in wheelchairs in this city. And there was a driver who was a white nationalist who actually attacked our comrade here for his stance of solidarity with the Black community, and physically attacked him, like put a seatbelt around his throat and made threatening comments towards him, and then made statements about his desire to murder Africans and Mexican people and people in wheelchairs. And we reported it to the manager of Care Ride, who's a white guy named Vince Cox, name and names, okay, name and names. Vince Cox is Kreisman's top volunteer. Yep. And Vince Cox responded to the complaint by saying, oh, I know that driver. He's a wonderful guy. He's been over for dinner at my house. He's met my Black wife. Vince Cox is white. I think I already mentioned that. And we contacted organizations in the Tampa Bay area that are supposedly created to address the conditions faced by the disabled population. Silence. They wanted nothing to do with this. But the organization that stepped in and got that driver fired was the Uhuru movement. Because the movement that is led by the most exploited, by the most oppressed, by the most slandered, spat upon, reviled people in the world, the Black working class, fights for justice and liberation for all human beings, fights to end all forms of oppression. And the people at Pear Ride were saying, why are we getting phone calls from Africa? Because they messed with the wrong comrade here. So I think that was a very inspiring glimpse at what is possible if you take that story and apply that to a whole city. What if the movement that stepped in, the movement that had already been fighting to end all oppression, was able to be the leadership of this city and was able to, yes. You would see all these problems go away. Because unity through reparations means that with reparations to the Black community at the center, we solve every other problem. When the Black community has power, there will be no homelessness. There will be no disrespect to the senior citizens of this city. There will be no disrespect and degradation of disabled people. You will not have that in a city where there is reparations paid to the Black community and there is self-determination and political and economic power in the hands of the Black community. And the last thing I want to say is that one of the comments that I've made throughout this election that has elicited quite a strong response from certain people is that as a Jewish person, my people received reparations from the German government. So why should we have a problem talking about reparations to the Black community? And it's a very loaded statement, but actually I know the answer. So I'm going to take it out of rhetorical. The reason why it is troubling to the status quo to talk about reparations to the Black community as opposed to reparations to the Jewish community by the German government is because as horrible as what happened to Jews in Germany was, the German economy and social system did not fundamentally revolve around the oppression of Jewish people. The US economy and social system, including that of the city of St. Petersburg, fundamentally revolves around the oppression of the Black community. That is the foundation. That is the core of the entire social system. So reparations is not just a payout. Reparations is another word for revolution. Okay. So I'll stop there. And we are ready for revolution. And unity through reparations is how all of us can fight back to end all injustice, all oppression in this city. And St. Petersburg will become a model and an inspiration to the rest of the planet. Not just to the rest of this country, but to the rest of the planet. The eyes of the world are on St. Pete's mayoral and District 6 elections. And as Akilé said, not only do we have the opportunity to win, not only do we have the possibility to win, but we have the responsibility to win. Thank you.
Unity through! Unity through! Radical times! Uhuru, Uhuru. We are winning! All right. We'll do that again later. All right, so now, as you all may know, this is one of the best times of the program. It is time for giving, giving to these campaigns. Kyle, if you would like to get all of our things set up for that, and Hakima, if you'd like to come up here and join me, Anika with the basket, everybody getting your places. I just really want to call on everybody in here to give to these campaigns because we do understand that, you know, Jesse and Akilé are not big money corporate politicians like Rick Kreisman, Rick Baker, and all these other candidates that they're going up against. This is a movement funded by the people, and this has always been a people's movement, and it's never going to sell out the interests of the people. And so we need the resources, we need your
Radical times.
Radical times.
Radical solutions.
Unity through
Reparations.
Unity through reparations. We are
Winning! Uhuru, I want to welcome everybody here, and I just want to say this is the time in the program where we turn on the lights. So I'm just telling you, because it's kind of a shock. We're no longer in the dark, but then this is the ability to have interaction with all of you, so you can know that you're part of this and a really important part of this. Yes, this is the people, and you are part of it. And I really want to salute our incredible candidates, Jesse Nevel and Akilé Cainion, for those powerful presentations. I want to salute Comrade Johan Bedingfield, who is such an incredible comrade and a really important part of the whole team for this election. And I want to thank all of you. There's so many people here and so many other people who aren't here today who have walked so many miles in this heat, knocking on doors, who have made call after call after call to voters to win them, to come onto the side of unity through reparations, and who have done so many things. I want to salute all of you. I want to salute Comrade Connie Burton, if you could stand up really quick, who is a longtime activist from Tampa, but also has tremendous influence on the struggle here in St. Petersburg as well. I want to salute Comrade Ben Ware, who is one of the first people that we met door to door from Uhuru, from the old Southeast, from, I think it's precinct 118. Just really, really shows the depth of support that's going on there. And, I want to really say that we are in the last weeks. The last 3 weeks of this campaign, on this part of the campaign, we are winning. We have incredible momentum that is piling up behind these candidates. We are seeing that, we know that Jesse Nevel has the support of almost 20% of African millennials in this city. That's one thing that we have to build on. That came out in a poll this week. This is without all of the day after day, all of the commercials on TV and all the millions of dollars and all these big signs that are all over the place. This is without that. This is through being in and with the people, and it's through the kind of support and kind of work all of you have done. So I really want to salute all of you. We have 3 weeks to go. We have 3 weeks to go, and as Akilé said, as Jesse said, we are winning, but we have a responsibility to win. We have a responsibility to win. And if we don't win, then the African community here could be at the point of no return, could be at the point where gentrification takes over, as it has in so many other cities throughout this country. And that's why the eyes of this whole country are on this city, because the answer is reparations, as Jesse Nevel so eloquently laid out. And also because we have a responsibility, and I say this from the white community, that we have a responsibility to win other white people just like ourselves. And I really applaud all of the North Americans, all the white people who have come out and not only are here today, but have done work to forward this campaign. I'm really proud and I'm really moved by that. Akilé talked about something horrible that happened this morning, where the Pinellas County sheriffs again murdered African children by threes. The 3 drowned black girls, 15 and 2 were 16 years old last year. Dominic and Lanaya and Ashanti, they murdered them. And this morning, they murdered 3 African children. 2 were 14 years old and 1 was 16. And they did it by chasing a high-speed chase against these children and then criminalizing them and killing them, forcing them into a fiery crash that murdered 3 of them, and another one is in critical condition in the hospital. And I want to express my outrage at that would exist with impunity when you and I know that that would never happen to white children. Never. Never. And if it happened, you know, just that we hear a whole different story of, oh, these troubled or whatever they would want to say, that we need trauma therapy at the schools, we need psychiatrists to come in, and the children are traumatized. But what they do in this case is they criminalize the children, they criminalize the families, and they criminalize the whole community. And they can do that because they expect unity from the white community. And I want to say that I'm here, and I know that you're here today, to say to Galtieri, not in my name, not in my name. Do you agree with me? Do you agree with me? Because as has been said, this system is built on the most horrible crimes and violence against the continent of Africa, against a whole continent of people. Stealing labor, stealing brilliant ideas, stealing the ability to grow up and be part of society, stealing people's culture, people's science, everything, the music, the arts, scratch the name off, as the chairman says, and say it's ours, that it's American, it's white. And this is how this system was built. It's also why white people have had the ability to climb up the ladder of success. It's why we've had the ability to do that. Because we could be poor, we came here poor, we could be poor today, but the whole system works for us. Even poor, we stand on the side of our own oppressors against the African community. We have done that over and over again, whether we've lynched, whether we have lynched, whether we have burned, whether we have tortured African people. We have never taken a stand as a class that we are the colonizers. We are responsible. We have unity with our government, and our government expects it. And what is so profound and so beautiful about this campaign is that it gives us, in a much broader way, as white people, the ability to say, yes, yes, I am committed deeply to unity through reparations to the Black community, because not only as an apology, which must be done, as a recognition of the crimes that we participated in, but also that the actual resources that have benefited us have to go back to African people. They have to. And if African people had their reparations, there wouldn't be children suffering, 14 and 15, by a colonial police department that could kill them for whatever reason they wanted to do it. And there wouldn't be the ability of the Tampa Bay Times to slander and criminalize and try to win the whole white community, that the biggest problem in St. Pete are 12-year-olds from the Black community. You know, they wouldn't be able to do that. African people would have power over their lives. They would have their resources back. You know, they wouldn't have 14-year-olds who want what every white kid has access to, a car. You know, I am outraged. So tomorrow morning, our committee met today and we determined that we would have a press conference tomorrow morning. The candidates will be there. Liu from the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement will be there. The African People's Solidarity Committee will be there. We need you there, and we need young people there. I think Laura will be there. We need to take a stand. We can't let them do this. We have to turn around the narrative and say that we defend African children and young people, and that this is not going to happen again. This is not going to happen again. And the first way that we can take on making sure that this will never happen again is to elect Akilé Cainion for District 6 City Council and Jesse Nevel for mayor. So just to fill in a little bit about what's happening, we had a great week this week. The candidates were on WMNF in Tampa twice this week, once on Thursday and once today. Also, we want to salute Elder Dr. G. Greg Murray from the Mount Zion Primitive Baptist Church, who had the candidates speak this morning and who really gave a warm message of support to his congregation for them. So it was very, very, very powerful. And they had a great response from the people there. We had made a lot of calls again this week. I want to salute our voter contact team, Liu and Renee, and so many others who have participated in that. We also, walked many miles again this week as the field team, Hakima and Star have said. We also had to lose our comrade Mohamedou, who had to go back to school, unfortunately, and we really miss him a lot. We had a salute in going away to him. And we determined that as a committee, that no matter what, we are going to have a commercial on TV. So I just want to say something about that. Now, I want to salute Comrade Kyle, who is our tireless graphic designer. He has about 5 hats, like video, website, Facebook. I don't even know what all. He does all the emails. Really powerful, but putting together this incredible, beautiful, beautiful video or an ad that is going to go on, I think, Bay News 9, BET, and several other channels on cable. Yeah, VH1. We'll send out the whole list of where it's going to be. Now, we won, Jesse and Kyle won a professional videographer, filmer, who has been filming parts of this. So today, what we want to happen, as long as the rain, we don't get any rain and it holds out, it'll be in the next few minutes. Charlie Diaz is his name. He's going to be here, and we're going to have everybody go outside, and we're going to show the movement of support for these candidates. And we're just going to say, we are winning. And we're going to show that because we only have 30 seconds in this whole thing. So every little millisecond counts. And it's going to be really powerful because we want to show the group. We want to show the base. So that's going to be very important. That's going to be in the next few minutes. And so we also, again, the press conference is tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock. Around the murder of these 3 children, these 3 African young boys in Palm Harbor this morning by Sheriff Galtieri, the same one that murdered Dominique Battle and the other 3 girls. And tomorrow afternoon, we also have a fundraiser at Zaytoon, which is, we call it the Falafel Fundraiser. It's going to be at Zaytoon Restaurant from 4 to 5:30, and that's at 1618 Central Avenue. And you can get something, a flyer for that, over on the table. On Tuesday, we want everybody to come out to this town hall meeting, again, put on by Elder Dr. G. Greg Murray, and it's going to be at his church, Mount Zion Primitive Baptist Church, 3700 22nd Avenue South, from 6 to 8 p.m. A town hall meeting with Akilé, Cainion, and Jesse Nevel, and it's going to be with his congregation and the public. So we really want to pack that church and have a lot of people come out for that. So it's 6 to 8 p.m. on Tuesday. Please do that. And also, please vote. You can get this flyer that tells you how to call the correct office and get your ballot sent to you. All you have to do is fill it out, put a stamp on it, and send it in. If you don't feel like putting a stamp on it, call us. We'll come get it. We'll do that for you. So our number is on here too. So definitely do this. We need you to vote, and we need you to vote now. So everybody can call and get their mail-in ballot. So please do that. How many people have already voted? All right. We have a few people here. Great. So we need everybody to vote as soon as possible. If for any reason you can't mail in your ballot, then you can always go to the polls on August 29th, and we want to help you in any way do that. So I don't know if Charlie is our videographer here. Is he here? He's outside. Okay, well, he could come in, say something. And all right, so we're just going to, okay, yes. If we also have our organization, Communities United for Reparations and Economic Development, also known as CURED. And if you would like to become a member of that, this is the organization that will enable us to build all throughout the precincts, not only of District 6, but throughout the city, so that the people can force the city and back up Jesse and Akilé when they win and when they come to office, that you will be able to back them up to be able to carry out this platform that you have elected. And so it's very important that we be organized. So please, Jackson here is going to sign you up. If you haven't already gotten your card, you can actually get your card and we'll laminate it today, your CURED card. So we want to ask everybody to engage and be part of Communities United for Reparations and Economic Development, CURED. So, anything else we need to say? Oh. About the youth meeting from Gibbs. I want to say anything about that. Yeah, Akilé. Yes.
I just had an update about the campaign as well, just in terms of what we did this weekend, because I don't want to understate how powerful this weekend was. Saturday we had 2 sessions of door-to-door and then phone banking, but we also were out at the indie market, and the indie market was really powerful. Yes, it was extremely amazing and very receptive, and we were able to sign up between, I don't even know, but I know, like, from the papers I had, it was like 30 to 40 people, yes votes, and people wanted to volunteer. And people who had heard about this campaign and were in total disgust at what they did with the Palladium Theater, keeping Jesse out of those debates. And, you know, one lady was even saying how her friend asked her about the primary. She didn't know much about the primary. Then her friend asked, well, how do you feel about reparations? And now this conversation of reparations is being able to be had because of these candidacies. So it's reaching people that we have never even met before. And that is shown when we went to the indie market. We had so many people telling us that they had heard about these campaigns and they were already voting for us. So I just wanted to put that out there because it's out there. The people are hearing it and they're disgusted. They're disgusted with the system. They're disgusted with the system, and they know that these are the only progressive options that are going to be on the ballot. So that's another, we are winning. Uhuru.
The woman who came up to you about reparations.
From the indie market?
Yes.
Yeah, so the indie market, just like Akilé was saying, it was a really powerful experience because a lot of people excitedly came up to us and had heard about these campaigns. And as Akilé mentioned, there was the woman that approached me. You want to come back up? Okay. And she was like, "Oh yeah, it's great to finally meet you. I've been following everything that you've been doing." And then I asked, "Well, how did you find out about it?" And she said, "Well, my friend asked me, have you been following the primary election in St. Pete at all?" And I said, "No." And she said, "Well, what do you think about reparations to the Black community?" And that's not normally how that conversation would go in a local election. So, and this is 2 white people like sitting in the kitchen talking about reparations to the Black community. It's awesome. It's amazing. And one other thing. Also, the memo, the leaked memo. Okay, 2 other amazing things that are happening. So there's been this whole thing with the 2 Ricks about the Black vote. And it's a really condescending, insulting, disrespectful thing where they just treat it as this thing like, how do we get the, quote, Black vote? Because it's conventional political wisdom at St. Pete that you need the Black vote in order to pass through the primary, in order to win a mayoral election. So 2 things happened this week that expose the tenuous nature of this this grasp that the two Ricks like to project that they have on the support of the Black community in the city. One is that a memo from the Florida Democratic Party to the Pinellas County Democratic Party was leaked to the media. And in that memo, the Florida Democratic Party is saying to the Pinellas County Democratic Party, which by the way, reminder, is led by a white woman who called us terrorists, that the Kreisman campaign is suffering in terms of its support from Black voters. And it's a really bad situation. And we're sending 2 more guys in to try to help with that. But don't worry, we're not really expecting much of a Black voter turnout anyway. This is what the Florida Democratic Party said, okay? We're only expecting 10%, which is insane if you look at voter turnout even in the last election in 2013, where the Black voter turnout was 30%. So unless the Democratic Party knows something we don't know about Black voter turnout, then where would they get the idea that it's only going to be 10%? Unless they're planning some kind of voter suppression, why would they assume that it's going to be no more than 10%? So that was one thing. The other thing is that Baker tried to bolster his support. He released this sweeping list of 40 Midtown pastors that supposedly had endorsed him. And then it turned out that only 23 of those pastors were even in St. Pete, let alone Midtown, quote unquote. Some of them were not pastors. They were religious leaders. They didn't have it's not like they had a congregation or church or something. They were just Christians. And some of them came out and said, I didn't endorse Baker. It's a complete lie. So this whole facade that he has set up is falling apart, like some of his yard signs, apparently. And that's fine, because we're winning and they are very threatened by that. That's why they keep stealing your yard sign.
True. And I just wanted to take this moment because I cannot believe we overlooked this. But can I get the Gibbs High forces up right here? Just come up, please. Please. Uhuru. Yes. And we're missing our Iquan, but I just wanted to say that from this weekend, we consolidated the Gibbs High School contingent, and they're going back to school this week, actually, and this campaign is going to hit Gibbs High School. The revolution is coming to Gibbs High School in the form of these amazing students. So I just wanted to say that. These comrades have dedicated their entire summer to organizing for these campaigns and being out, knocking door to door. So, you know, this is the youth, this is the movement, and they're bringing us into the future. So I just wanted to really appreciate you guys, and I'm really excited for what we're going to do on Gibbs High School because we are bringing the fight to them, and it's gonna be amazing. Thank you guys so much.
All right.
More shout outs?
Yeah.
Okay, more shout outs. I'm Star, I'm one of the field managers for the campaign.
Yes.
And in case you didn't get the visual on yesterday, on Saturday, all over town, things were happening. And I'm thinking of like the Andersons out all last week, sign spinning at different corners. You might have seen the Andersons working the corners last week with signs. Sean Moore and Samantha out there also. Saturday, it was so hot. And not only were we in 2 precincts here in District 6, the Andersons were up in Old Northeast. We were filming part of the television commercial. The mailers were arriving. Ann Hirsch, I think, is our first official person in District 6 who received the mailer. And she posted it on Facebook. Do you have a picture of that? Maybe to show people, maybe you can bring it up on your phone. Yeah, we meant to bring them in, but those will be arriving in mailboxes tomorrow. Social media team was just on it, just responding to all the support that we're getting online. We're just recruiting every time. And if you see someone on any of the pages that you're on around the campaign that shows any interest, connect them with us. Please connect them with us in one way or another. You can give them any one of our, invite them as friends onto the candidates' pages, and we'll bring them into the campaign. And also, you know, all the flyers that are going out. I mean, just think about it. Tomorrow, the Zaytun Falafel fundraiser at 4 to 5:30. Delicious Palestinian food on Central Avenue. We're very, very grateful to Zaytoon for hosting that one the way Love Food Central did last month for that ice cream social. Tuesday, the what is reparations to the Black community event at Mount Zion Primitive Baptist, Tuesday evening. And it just,
And tomorrow morning.
the press conference here. So, I mean, this thing just keeps getting huger. Thank you, everybody here, for your support. Oh, and I'm missing so many people who were out on the doors yesterday in the heat, besides the candidates. Oh, the Gainesville, too, that came down and managed the booth at the Indie Market. Jackson and Johan out there doing outreach at the Indie Market. That's been every Saturday forever, but especially since the campaign started. And Betty Soto and her granddaughter, it's our youngest volunteer, Araya, in the back, is 2. She'll tell you she's 4. Hi, Araya. She was there at the Indie Market yesterday. She's our best volunteer. So, Uhuru. Oh, and the phone banking. Oh, yeah, the phone banking team. Craig and Sierra from Tampa, Mark Holmgren. Raise your hand if you've been on the phone banking team. If you've been making calls, Ann and Janice and Mark, Craig and Sierra, Yebu, Rose, Akilé, Aniko. We need help in every corner. People from out of town. Oh, yeah, national. There's folks like in Boston, in St. Louis, in Minnesota. There's so many people all over the country. I mean, this has really taken off, and it didn't hurt that Akilé was in Ebony magazine this month, too. So, Uhuru.
Unity through. Radical times. All right, so we're going to go now. I want to introduce Charlie Diaz, who's a fantastic photographer. A wonderful photographer who is going to video us outside. Hopefully it's not raining. And we're all going to go out, and you will, I guess, stage us, or somebody will, probably Kyle. And then we're gonna say, "We are winning." I know that's what we're going to say, and then the candidates are going to say a few things. So we're going to get video for this, and you're going to be in the commercial that's going to be on cable TV real soon.
Uhuru, my name is Jackson. Among other things, I'm a volunteer and I'm on the social media team, among other things. And so we're doing a 30-second videos, 30 seconds for progress. And you can come to me and make your own 30 seconds of progress video saying your first name, why you support these campaigns, these candidates, and to donate, vote, volunteer for these this amazing campaign. 30 seconds long, saying why you support this campaign. So you can come to me outside after we're done with shooting the video, and we'll get that filmed and up. Thank you.
We are winning. We are winning. So, I don't know if you want to say or what we're going to help stage this.
So for the end of our commercial, it's going to be the candidates introducing themselves after people have said why they're voting, basically, and supporting. And
go through who else spoke in it.
It starts off with the chairman, saying why he's against, or that the people can win against big money politics this year in this election. We did that at City Hall. And then Comrade Lara, we did that downtown, saying why we can unite St. Pete through reparations to the Black community. And then Comrade Scott was saying no more high rises, no more sewage in our water. And then Comrade Aniko is saying no more police murder. And then Comrade Kunde Mwambita, mother of Dominique Battle, is going to be saying that no Black mother should ever have to bury their child. And that will be followed by the candidates introducing themselves. And then everybody will be behind the candidates, which is what we're going to do right now. And then everyone's going to chant, "We are winning." And that will be the end of the commercial.